Yo, what's up, it's your boy Misty. How are we all doing today? Welcome back to the channel. I'm glad you're back tuning in. Today we're doing something different. We are reacting to videos today. We're reacting to the 10 most luckiest moments caught on camera. So yeah, no need for explaining. Let's jump right through it.
From a lucky guy in China that saved himself from falling into a sinkhole, and a train spotter in West Virginia who was nearly blindsided by a train, to a falling tree in Russia that tried to take out a batch of new recruits, and a fire truck in Brazil that was in the right place at the right time. Here are the 10 luckiest moments caught on camera.
That's good.
Luoyang, China is a prefecture-level city in Henan province. It's home to about 7 million people, with just over 2.7 million living in the built-up metro area. 2 of them were about to become the luckiest people in the city. On August 29th of 2021, 2 locals with umbrellas walked along a road overlooking a vegetable garden. They decided to peek over the side and check out the plants. Then, something didn't feel right beneath their feet. Keep your eye above the blue marking on the wall, the one in the middle. That's where our lucky duo is standing.
Yo, that's crazy.
Footage from an apartment complex shows what the accident looked like from above. Those 2 were lucky to escape with their lives. They would have been crushed beneath all that dirt and concrete. While Chinese authorities haven't provided any information, we imagine this freak landslide occurred after days of heavy rain. These types of events are common in China. It's not unusual for roads and buildings to collapse because of weak soil. Our next lucky group comes from Chongqing, a bustling city in southern China. It's one of 4 direct-administered municipalities, which is the highest city ranking you can get in China. The other 3 are Beijing, Shanghai, and Tianjin. On May 16th of 2020, a coach bus full of people was driving down the highway when they pulled behind a flatbed truck. What happened will make you never want to drive behind a truck again. The flatbed pulls up next to a small car. You'd expect something bad to happen right here, but just wait. The truck hits a bump, causing a loose iron rod to fall off the back. It skips on the ground and bounces over the bus. Or does it? Bam! The iron rod smashes through the window, nearly taking out a young man. To his credit, he remains extremely calm despite almost getting final destination. The next angle shows the bus driver. Somehow, he keeps from swerving when the rod comes through. Just look at that giant hole in the windshield. Thankfully, nobody got hurt during the freak accident. The driver suffered a few scratches on his hand, probably from broken glass.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Safety is the #1 priority when it comes to heavy machinery. When working with cranes, never stand under a suspended load. We're talking about several tons of heavy material hanging high above your head. These 2 factory workers must have missed that lesson. We're not sure where or when this video took place, but it's a good lesson in crane safety. You never know when something will go wrong.
Yo, he's so lucky. Are you crazy?
That one step forward might have saved our factory worker's life. According to one Redditor who claims to be an iron worker in New York, these guys have a bad habit of standing too close to heavy loads. They say it's a macho thing. You don't want to be seen as weak by scampering away. Then again, you don't want to be seen as flattened either. What's worth more, your ego or your life? Sometimes you don't have to be lucky. You just have to be quick on your feet. One young man in China learned that lesson when a sinkhole randomly opened beneath his chair. Thankfully, he was sitting on a child's stool. He was so low to the ground that his legs were already spring-loaded. It looks like they were building or repairing some kind of classroom. The desks and chairs seem to be at similar heights.
Yo.
That's probably why he was sitting in a chair for children. Now, random sinkholes are all too common in China. This next one opened up on a sidewalk in Lingshui. Unfortunately, the man standing over it wasn't as young and spry.
Yo.
While it looked bad at first, the sinkhole wasn't that deep. The man in blue jumped down and pulled the older gentleman out. As you can see, the hole is only up to his waist. It did attract a crowd, though, as people wanted to know if the old man was okay. He only suffered a few scratches on his body and was treated at the local hospital. Authorities in Lingshui County said the sidewalk collapsed after several days of heavy rain. Changzhou, China is home to about 5.2 million people and one...
Okay, now, most of the stuff is in like China or mostly Asian countries, all this luckiest moments. But so far, it's damn, people are very lucky so far, you know.
Heroic crane operator. After seeing this video, you'll see why they say not all heroes wear capes. On January 3rd of 2018, our crane operator was sitting in his cab when he saw a violent crash on the road. A car skidded into the opposite lane and smashed head-on into a commercial bus. When he saw what happened next, he knew he had the perfect tool to help. A black car swerves to avoid the wrong-way driver. Then the white car crashes into the bus and slides off camera. Meanwhile, the bus driver veers right and falls into the river with 4 other people on board. Our crane operator sees the massive splash and sprints across the street. He knows exactly what to do when he sees the people trapped inside. He risks his life and books it back to the crane. Then he maneuvers it through traffic and gets in the perfect position. He knows he doesn't have much time before the people on the bus run out of air. He finally gets set and swings the arm over the river. At first, you think he's gonna lift the bus, but that might topple his crane. Instead, he starts lifting people out one by one. Our driver was commended for his heroics on Chinese social media. Everyone on that bus was lucky he was in the right place at the right time. Guaíba is a small city in eastern Brazil. It's home to about 90,000 people and a fire department with perfect timing. On August 15th of 2019, a woman was making a simple left turn when something didn't seem right with her car. Thankfully, there was a fire truck right behind her. An oil tanker, a white car, and a fire engine are all trying to take the same left turn. Everything seems normal at first. The tanker goes, but the white car doesn't move. Instead, the driver throws her hazards on. Something isn't right. The fire truck assumes she's stalled. Judging by their flashing lights, they probably had somewhere to be. But just as they're about to pull away, the woman's car spontaneously bursts into flames. She and her passengers run for the hills. The firefighters spring into action and quickly put the fire out. And we're not sure what caused the fire, but it looks like everyone made it out okay. The damage to her car likely wasn't that bad.
Hey, yo, imagine that oil truck was still there, yo, and that the explosion happened. If the oil truck was closer, then it would have been even worse. Yeah, it's crazy.
Day 1, Lesson 1. Look both ways when you're crossing the street. Apparently, this cyclist in Ningbo City, China missed that class. On December 17th of 2014, surveillance cameras rolled over a busy intersection.
Yo.
They captured the moment when a truck driver turned and nearly crushed a man on his bike. Thankfully, he survived with only a few scrapes. It looks like the man on his bike thought the truck would keep going straight. But when the truck starts turning right, he tries to speed up and ride around it. Unfortunately, he was so close to the cab that the driver couldn't see him. For a terrifying moment, the biker disappears under the truck.
Yo.
Zoomed-in footage shows the driver driving over him. Then, the cyclist appears on the other side. From the front, you can see where all 14 tires miraculously missed him. He rolls over, sits up, and questions whether he's still alive. You gotta love the person on the scooter who casually rides by like nothing happened. Other witnesses say the man sat there for about 2 minutes before moving. The driver had no idea he'd hit someone until police found him later that day.
Yeah. That is... Oh.
With over 20 million people, Karachi is the largest city in Pakistan and the 12th largest in the world. As the former capital, it's considered the industrial and financial center of Pakistan. But on January 9th of 2023, it was the center of a massive explosion. In the neighborhood of Surjani town sat a tiny shop selling liquefied petroleum gas, or LPG. LPG, also known as propane, is super flammable. As the entire neighborhood was about to learn, you should run away when one's about to explode.
Yo! Yo, guy on the bike. Run, bro, run. Leave your bike, man.
The people standing nearby were extremely lucky to avoid the flaming canister. Apparently, they work exactly like you see in movies and video games. The flames act like a rocket, shooting the canister in random directions. Apparently, what they were doing in the shop was very illegal. Decanting, or the transfer of LPG from one cylinder to another, isn't allowed. Violators can face fines or imprisonment. However, as the demand for natural gas skyrockets, authorities in Pakistan have turned a blind eye to these underground decanting shops. People love trains. Some people love them so much that they travel around the country filming famous tracks and locomotives. They're called train spotters, and while they're more popular in the UK, there are plenty in America. One American spotter went down to Harper's Ferry, West Virginia on October 23rd of 2011. He was doing a documentary on trains and hoped to film a CSX-WB mixed freight. He got his wish when one passed by, but as he turned the camera, his heart nearly stopped.
Yo! Yo!
That guy was probably 15 feet away from disaster. Our cameraman knew that yelling was pointless. The train was so loud that the man didn't hear the other one coming. So our cameraman began waving his hands and pointing to get the man's attention. Thankfully, he turned and looked back at the last second. Now put yourself in the engineer's mind for a second. They can't lean out the window and yell for the guy to move. He'd never hear them. They can lay on the horn all they want, but that would seem totally normal. The engineer was probably sitting there screaming into the void, "Please move, please move, please move."
Bonus one, okay.
Aldi Novel Adalang is an Indonesian teenager with a Hollywood-like story. The 18-year-old was stranded on a small wooden fishing vessel for 49 days. They found him adrift about 1,000 miles off the coast of Guam. He was never supposed to leave the bay. Aldi wasn't technically on a fishing boat. He worked on what's called a rompond. It's basically a floating fish trap without any paddles, sails, or engines. It looks more like a floating hut that's anchored to the seabed by ropes. On July 14th of 2018, powerful winds snapped his anchor. 49 days later, rescue workers found him in the ocean, alive and well. Aldi basically lived on the rompond. His job was to turn the lights on at night to attract fish. Someone from the company would come each week to collect the fish. They'd also bring Aldi supplies, food, and fuel. When they arrived on July 14th, he was gone. Aldi survived by catching fish in the trap and burning pieces of the wooden hut to cook them. Sometimes he just ate them raw. For hydration, Aldi soaked his shirt in the ocean and then drank the water through it like a filter. The most heartbreaking part of this story is that 10 other ships ignored him before a Panama-flagged vessel pulled him out of the water. Aldi arrived in Japan on September 6th and flew home to Indonesia 2 days later. He's now safe with his family and is said to be in good health. Reaching the end of your military training must feel amazing. For these Russian recruits in 2011, their induction ceremony didn't go as planned. They weren't under attack and they didn't all fail. Instead, Mother Nature decided she was going to test their reflexes.
Уходи! Уходи, уходи! Стол, стол!
Yeah.
Let's get that one more time, but in slow motion.
Уходи, уходи. Стол, стол.
They're lucky they heard the tree cracking behind them. The guys in white turned at the last second and saw the tree coming down. We feel bad for the man reading to the group. He probably prepared all night for that speech. If you enjoyed this video and want to see another just
Okay, so number 1 and 2 for me wasn't like as lucky as like the other ones compared to the others. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you leave a like and subscribe and tune into the next one, please, and turn on that notification bell to get more updates, and follow all my socials so you can get updates on what I'll do and when it will come out. So yeah, please leave a like and subscribe, and see you in the next. Peace.